I'd like to call to order the Yukon City Council meeting for June 4th, 2013. Please stand for invocation by Pastor Kent Mullins and the flag salute.
Let us pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, we again come to you and are so thankful for how you have had your hand upon us as we've come through some very tumultuous weather, and how you have spared us, and yet you've also are along with those who have not been as lucky. We pray, God, that you would be with the recovery efforts and the things that go on there, that you would help in all of those areas. We do pray, God, for everything that takes place tonight, and we pray that your blessing would be upon it. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the roll, please.
Smith.
Here.
Obitz.
Here.
Alberts. Here. Gerba.
Here.
McCarran.
Here.
All right, item one, presentations and proclamations, and we have one to do for Big Bush Day. Big Bug Day? Who we got?
Bug Bash.
Bug Bash Day. There we go. Let's see, who we got representing Bug Bash Day?
All right. Here's your microphone. Yeah.
Behind you here.
Thank you, sir. It's even on. Brother Marvin, how are you? How are you? Read this proclamation. Whereas Yukon First Church of the Nazarene will have their 6th annual Route 66 Volkswagen Bug Bash celebration, and whereas this annual event draws many people of the city of Yukon and surrounding communities, promotes friendship, and provides Yukon families and friends a chance to get to know each other, and whereas this free event is open to all ages and to all the people of the city of Yukon, and whereas Yukon craftspeople will be able to display their wares, and whereas this event highlights Route 66 and the historic role it has played in the development of Yukon, and whereas this event brings area-wide attention to Yukon, Oklahoma, and brings benefit to the local economy. And now, therefore, I, Ken Smith, Mayor of Yukon, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim June 15th, 2013 as Bug Bash Day in the city of Yukon, and urge all citizens to celebrate and recognize Bug Bash Day in its 6th annual year of existence. I'd like to hand it to you, and I'm sure you have something to say. Tell us a little bit about it.
As the proclamation said, June 15th, which is a week from Saturday, from 8 till 3. Last year we had 107 entrants into the car show. It's our 2nd year to have the craft show. We're still taking craft vendors if anybody's interested, and we hope we have good weather that day. The night before, on Friday evening, we have a cruise around Yukon that's coordinated with the police department and so forth. And a lot of people get to see the Volkswagens that drive around, and we just have a good time. All the money or the proceeds that we receive through the food vending and so forth go to further the ministries of faith-based organizations.
Would you like to add anything?
Thank you for the proclamation.
Thank you, Marvin. Thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you very much. Matt, will you join me, please? Chris? Before we read this, I want to point out that that Chris has been a volunteer storm spotter for the Emergency Management Department here in Yukon for some time. Stays in very close contact with the emergency manager throughout an event, and it is his being here that we are celebrating this evening. This may be the first time that we've done this in Yukon, but I am very proud, Matt, to be able to do this for you. And it's a city manager's commendation. It is presented to Sergeant Matthew Fairchild. He is hereby presented this commendation to honor and recognize the conduct exhibiting courage and caring, skill and self-sacrifice to save the life of our storm spotter volunteer, Chris Novy, on May 31st, 2013. You are to be commended for your actions of leadership and exceptional performance. awarded this 4th day of June 2013, signed by myself and Doug Shivers, the city clerk. Congratulations. Appreciate it.
I don't see them here tonight, but yep, here's one right here. Come up here with me. I don't deserve all the credit, and I'm sorry. Tell me your name again. I'm sorry. Angel. This is Angel from Salazar Roofing. Friday night when the storm came through, I had tried to drive through the same intersection that Chris tried to drive through, and soon realized that I wasn't going to be able to make it, so I backed out of it and decided to sit there, and I was going to observe the intersection, considering whether or not we actually needed to shut it down or not at that point. When just shortly after I pulled out of it, I saw Chris drive through it and drive into the ditch and completely go submerged in his car. But as I was running, trying to help him out, Angel and two of his buddies from Salazar Roofing were right there behind me, and they, as soon as I jumped in the water and was barely able to grab the back of Chris's shirt, Angel was right there to pull me up out of the water. I'd have been floating down the stream with Chris also. So this guy and his two buddies deserve as much credit as I do, and I want to thank them.
Chris did have some video that he could have displayed this evening. We just didn't know for sure how to play it in here. I think you do have it posted on YouTube. If you want to see a scary ride, you might go to YouTube and take a look at the video itself. But again, thank you very much, Chris. We appreciate your effort on behalf of the city of Yukon in very trying times, and what you do to help our emergency management group. And Matt, we thank you as well. Angel, we appreciate Private Citizen and everything that you do and down there. Thank you so much. Gentlemen.
At this time, we'll recess as Yukon City Council and reconvene as Yukon Municipal Authority. Sir? Oh, I'm sorry. We have any visitors that would like to address the council on a non-agenda item? Any visitors? All right, none seen. We will recess as the Yukon City Council and reconvene as the Yukon Municipal Authority. Item 1A, the YMA consent docket. This item is placed on the agenda so the Yukon Municipal Authority by unanimous consent can designate those routine items that wish to be approved by one motion. If an item does not meet with the approval of all authority members, that item will be heard in regular order. The city manager recommends a motion to approve. Item A, the minutes of the regular meeting of May 22nd, 2013. B, payment of material claims in the amount of $6,959.49. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Alberts.
Yes.
Gerba.
Yes.
McCarron.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Opitz.
Yes.
Item 2A, consider approving resolution number YMA 2013-1, a resolution approving the Yukon Municipal Authority budget for the fiscal year 2013-2014 and establishing budget amendment authority. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Gerba.
Yes.
McCarron.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Opitz.
Yes.
Alberts.
Yes.
This time we'll adjourn as the YMA and reconvene as the Yukon City Council. Item 1 is a consent docket. This item is placed on the agenda so the City Council by unanimous consent can designate those routine items that wish to be approved by one motion. If an item does not meet with the approval of all council members, that item will be heard in regular order. The city manager recommends a motion that will approve: A, the minutes of the regular meeting of May 22nd, 2013. B, payment of material claims in the amount of $323,340.37. Item C, the renewal of the existing interlocal governmental cooperation agreement with the city of Bethany, providing use of the Yukon jail for the term of July 1, 2013 through June 30th, 2014, for the rate of $42 per day per prisoner. D, the renewal of the existing interlocal governmental cooperation agreement with the city of El Reno, providing use of the Yukon jail for the term of July 1, 2013 through June 30th, 2014, for a rate of $42 per day per prisoner. Item E, the renewal of the existing interlocal governmental cooperation agreement with the city of Piedmont, providing after-hours emergency dispatch services for the term of July 1, 2013 through June 30th, 2014, at the rate of $3,350 per month. F, the renewal of the existing interlocal governmental cooperation agreement with the city of Piedmont, providing use of the Yukon jail for the term of July 1, 2013 through June 30th, 2014, for the rate of $42 per day per prisoner. G, the renewal of the existing contract with the Yukon Public School District to provide school resource officers at the high school and middle school for the term of July 1st, 2013 to June 30th, 2014, for the sum of $150,000. H, accepting Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality Permit number SL0000091300291 for the construction of approximately 297 linear feet of 8-inch sewer line and appurtenances to serve the city of Yukon, Yukon Hills Shopping Center, Block B, Sewer Line Extension Project, Canadian County, Oklahoma. I, designating the items on the attached list from the Technology Department as surplus and authorizing their sale, donation, or trade. J, setting the date for the next regular council meeting for June 18th, 2013 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of the Centennial Building, 12 South 5th Street. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Smith,
Yes.
Alberts,
Yes.
Gerba,
Yes.
McCarron,
Yes.
Opitz,
Yes.
Item 2, reports of boards, commissions, and city officials.
Not this evening, Mayor.
Moving on, item 3, consider approving resolution number 2013-6, a resolution approving the city of Yukon, Oklahoma budget for the fiscal year 2013 to 2014, establishing a budget amendment authority. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Alberts,
Yes.
Opitz,
Yes.
McCarron,
Yes.
Gerba,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes. Item 4, consider approving resolution number 2013-707, a resolution of the city of Yukon, Oklahoma, authorizing entering into an interlocal cooperative agreement for municipal court jurisdiction concerning juveniles. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Do we have any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Smith,
Yes.
Gerba,
Yes.
Opitz,
Yes.
McCarron,
Yes.
Alberts,
Yes.
Item 5, consider approving ordinance number 1288, an ordinance which provides amendment to the Code of Ordinances of the City of Yukon, Oklahoma by repealing the payment of $50 required by Section 98-3 for private hauling of garbage and rubbish in lieu of collection charges set forth in Section 98-11 and declaring an emergency. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
McCarron,
Yes.
Opitz,
Yes.
Gerba,
Yes.
Alberts,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes. Item 5A, consider approving emergency clause of ordinance number 1288.
Motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Opitz,
Yes.
Alberts,
Yes.
McCarron,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Gerba,
Yes.
Item 6, consider approving ordinance number 1289, an ordinance which provides amendment to the Code of Ordinances for the City of Yukon, Oklahoma by adding Section 110-435, requiring the use of helmets for every person under the age of 18 when operating or riding a bicycle and declaring an emergency. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay. Second.
Is there any discussion? Any discussion? I actually have one question, might be more of a comment, but I'm still somewhat unclear on how we're gonna, if this gets approved, how it would be enforced. Are there gonna be levels of fines or warnings, citations?
On the penalty side, I think that would have to be established by you at a later time because none of that language is contained here. You know, it becomes a city ordinance, which makes it enforceable by any of the officers, just like any other violation within the code book. The penalty things, though, would have to be spelled out and then written into the code, either under the penalty section or added as part of the specific ordinance, I think.
There's a general penalty for any violation of the code, and I believe it's in section 1-2 of the Code of Ordinances, and it's the up to $750 fine.
Up to a $750 fine.
Unless the.
And but that's still language we can discuss and,
Oh, absolutely. We have other traffic violations which have specific limits set by state law. Other traffic violations, this would be considered essentially, are the fines, the maximum fines have been set by council.
very good, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Call the roll, please.
Ken, just a,
Oh, sir, I'm sorry.
Mike, is there not a portion of that, though, within the codes on automobile citations of a minimum penalty for citations and things as well? Or will we have to spell that out separately?
You don't have to spell it out. It'd be left in the good discretion of the judge in the event that he finds someone guilty of the offense.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any further discussion? No further discussion, call the roll, please.
Alberts.
Yes.
Gerba.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Opitz.
Yes.
McCarron.
Yes.
Item 6A, consider approving the emergency clause of ordinance number 1289. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Gerba.
Yes.
Opitz.
Yes.
Alberts.
Yes.
McCarron.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. Item 7, consider approving ordinance number 1290, an ordinance which provides amendment to the Code of Ordinance of the City of Yukon, Oklahoma by amending section 70-77 to include a prohibition against the drilling and/or placement of any oil and gas wells on platted property or property for which there is a current preliminary plat, providing for repealer and declaring an emergency. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Do we have any discussion?
I have a little discussion.
Sir.
I have a couple of questions. One question would be, are there other cities that have a similar type of ordinance? And I think that I talked with Mr. Sigler by email earlier today, and he doesn't know necessarily, you don't,
I
didn't
don't,
have a
I have
chance.
not
got that
had.
to you too late today.
That question was first presented to me today, and I have not had an opportunity to go. And I will tell you, there's not a real good place, easy way to research that. You've got to go try to find, like on Municipal Code Corporation, MCC or something like that. You gotta go through each one of the cities.
Right.
So that would be, it's nothing I can do in an afternoon.
And I apologize,
No, that's fine.
but my question, my concern is this, and I guess I'm looking for maybe a recommendation from staff. You know, I'm just concerned about a person's property right. There's the surface right and there's the subsurface right. And if we do this, to me, I'm afraid that anyone that owns any subsurface rights under the city, any mineral interest, et cetera, won't be able to be developed. I think that we've had a discussion about directional drilling, and if that works, but if Oklahoma City has a similar type of ordinance and they limit the area around Yukon and we can't drill underneath, I'm concerned about the property rights of those people that own the minerals under the city. I know all these neighborhoods, people own fractional interest, those type of things. I'm curious about the surface right versus the subsurface rights mineral, you know.
And I did have a chance to look at Oklahoma City, and I did not see a restriction against oil and gas wells in subdivided areas. I didn't see that in Oklahoma City.
I can tell you that in western Oklahoma, communities, particularly in the Anadarko Oil and Gas Basin, it is prevalent that the oil and gas well will be placed on the outside of the community of immediately adjacent to, and that directional drilling will be used to access. Unfortunately, I'm one of the mineral owners in one of those communities that has minerals that can be developed, but only by a well that sits on the outside of the community, so.
Me too.
Well, and Grace, I think that's a good point, except the problem is we're surrounded by Oklahoma City. So that's where I have, my question is, and is there an area that we could reserve? I mean, there are existing oil wells in our community, and could those areas be reserved for future exploration? I mean, there's horizontal drilling, there's directional drilling, and I certainly don't want, I understand what we're trying to do here, but I don't want to thwart the ownership of some other property interest. And that's what I'm wondering is does this ordinance allow for, or is there a provision in our city ordinance that would allow us to designate, now I'm just thinking out loud, if there's an existing well, that area could be used for future exploration. I understand if a company owns that, but if they plug it at some point, then it reverts back. But do you understand where I'm getting at, Mike?
I kind of do, in the instances that you're referring to, from my limited knowledge, the oil well was there first, and somebody platted around it.
Right.
And so there wasn't a big drilling rig in the backyard of, 12 houses surrounding it. So those are the only ones I know about. And of course, if council wants to, they lose their rights because they abandon it or they plug it or something like that, certainly we could craft an ordinance that says that is another zone. We got a zone X and a zone Y in the city when it comes to oil and gas. We could create another zone, a zone Z,
Well,
and that would
I
be.
have a question, I think, pertaining to that then. Would it be possible for us to table this item in order to revise it to include that type of language, so we don't have to change two or add two separate ordinances to achieve what we're trying to achieve with this one ordinance?
Can I make a comment first? This is just a small comment, but we are landlocked in Yukon, Oklahoma. And if a developer goes out here and spends a couple $100,000 just to plat a piece of property, and he's going to build 400 houses, 300 houses, and he has it all platted, an oil well or gas well can come in and drill as long as he's 300 feet away from a house or a structure. So what do we do about that? Because we are landlocked, we need the housing. What about retail? What if the new people that have purchased some property on the south side of I-40? That all becomes retail. That's their plans, to do a great thing over there. But somebody comes in, says, hey, we're going to drill a well. As long as they're 300 feet away from a structure.
I feel a lot like John does, though. I feel like the situation, the picture that you're painting, it's almost like we're slapping one hand to protect the other.
Well, not with directional drilling.
And I did want to comment too, and I apologize for interrupting, but to my knowledge, the existing producing wells within subdivisions that John and I were talking about, I don't think they're part of the plat. So it wouldn't be a platted area. I don't think.
Right.
I've got a question too.
Well,
Now, wouldn't another option be if there was somebody who had, you wanted to develop an oil well or gas well someplace, just ask for an exception to the ordinance? I mean, we've had things come before the council before, or the planning commission just says, hey, listen, can we get an exception in this case?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
No.
Well, but the problem that I have is I mean, it discourages the development of it. And I mean, one of the things in the meeting that we just had was it talked about the oil and gas companies and us having a good relationship with them. I mean, that's what we just looked at. And I don't, is all I think, I agree with Ken. I think that we ought to table it. I think that we ought to give Mike an opportunity. I would just like to see a map. And I understand directional drilling, and I'm all for that. And we could do this at our next I think, am I putting you under the,
2 months.
you can't do it?
No, not by next meeting.
Okay.
2 weeks, no.
You can't do it by next week?
No.
Can you do it in a month?
Sure.
Okay. I mean, I would just like to see a map of the city and for us to be able to look and say, okay, they could access it from here. Or we could designate an area that it would be. I just think when you have to come to the Board of Adjustment and ask for it, that puts the onus on the property owner or the oil and gas driller. If you own the minerals, I think that they're just as important. And I mean, Mike, you and I were talking about it. Is one more important than the other? The surface
They're
road?
not more important. They've got the dominant and the Servian estate, and the mineral interest is the dominant estate, which means that, and the law provides that oil companies can drill their well. And if they can't settle up with the property on the surface owner,
They can
then
force
they just file their lawsuit. They give them notice, they file their lawsuit, and they're able to come in and drill the well.
Okay, well, and then I don't mean, so here's my the last thing that I wrote was a recommendation from staff, so now, I mean, do you recommend this ordinance the way that it's written? Are you satisfied? Does it protect
I'm
us?
satisfied with the legality of it. It's the advisability of it is what you all are discussing. And from, I don't really talk about the advisability of doing this or that unless you're really fixing to step in a big old puddle. And this one is a call that you guys have to make.
Well, the question, I think that, just to summarize the question in my mind, is are we, in passing this ordinance, are we protecting the developers at the expense of the property owners and their mineral rights? That's, I know
The
it's
property owners
squeezing it down, I know, but that's what it appears.
In the scheme of things, mostly the developers are the property owners. Mostly the developers are the property owners. And there is, I'll tell you what, I was real impressed. The other day, I was talking to Mitchell Hort in his department, and I was needing some information. He said, well, you just go to community development through the city's link and on that, and there's maps. And there's all kinds of maps. There's flood maps, there's zoning maps, there's subdivision maps. So you can just go on there and see. And that's what I did today. And before I emailed you back, is I looked at where would they have to spot wells to get under the subdivisions without drilling on subdivisions. And really, if you take the mile that I've been using as an example for horizontal drilling, not exaggerate it too much, but use that 1 mile, the only place that they really couldn't reach from the exterior of these subdivision boundaries is kind of this downtown core area of the city. And that's not practical because there's so many structures that are occupied, there's no place to put a well. Except for City Park, and that's already prohibited in our ordinance.
I don't know, I guess, I'm unsure enough that I'm still interested in seeing us table this for additional information. I just don't know enough about it to make a comfortable decision. It's not my motion to make.
We have a motion on the floor.
Yes, and we've got a second, so I guess now I need to ask if Mr. Opitz is interested in revising his.
Well, can we, before we
Can you,
get there though?
can you tell me what parts you don't understand?
Yeah,
Yes. I know Mike, he made a statement, the developers are primarily are the property owners, and that of course is in most cases true, but not always owners of the mineral rights. Property owner and mineral right owners are two different, or can be two different entities.
And most of the time will be, probably.
Right.
So,
yeah, what really brought this up? Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in a fog here myself about what specific issue brought a look at this ordinance to bring this before us. There must have been something happen here,
I actually brought it up.
did you? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what
And
were the circumstances, Rick?
The circumstances are that doing a 90 to 100 acre development and platting the area and spending several $100,000 to get it repaired. And then what would happen if they decided to drill? Then what happens to the property owner? Whether it be a developer like John Nail, whether it be a developer like whoever, whatever developer.
But how would they get access then to a piece of property that's already platted for an oil well?
All they gotta do is come in. They can come in within 300 feet of a structure.
But if it's already platted, then
If
those
it's
are.
already platted, there's no structure there yet.
Yeah,
They're building the next 300 houses.
Okay, I think we probably have
So,
gone as far as we need to on it this evening. My question, yes?
I agree with Rick. I think that, I agree with Rick. I think that, I pull my cord out.
Here you go.
I agree with Rick about the ordinance. I think that the ordinance should be passed, but I would like to see us table it for just one reason, to make sure that we can do everything that we can to protect the mineral owners. I don't disagree with the ordinance. I think that we should be conscientious of the people that are here from Louisiana, that are here to develop a big piece of property, and I'd like to do what we can to help. But I don't want to undermine the people that have lived here for generations and own minerals in our community. I want to make sure that they're able to be developed too, to the best of their ability. Now, if one has to outweigh the other, then I understand that we can have that discussion. But I would like to just have an opportunity, Mike, for you to, I guess now I'm looking for the practical part of it too. Where could wells be located so we can, yeah, we're taking care of the platted areas, but here are some areas, I don't know, I'm just asking for 1 month so we can have a little bit of more information to pass it. I agree that I think that something like this ought to be passed. I like the ordinance, but I don't want to limit a mineral owner's opportunity to develop that. So that's, I guess what I'm asking then is, would you consider, do I have to?
Actually, I've already asked the question if he would consider revising his motion.
You've got to ask him to table it.
To table the,
Sure. That'll be fine. We'll table it till the next meeting.
good with me too.
well, actually, two
Meetings.
meetings down the road, 1 month.
Okay.
And it's good with me also.
All right, let's see, that would be item 7 is tabled for 1 month. And that would eliminate item 7A.
But you need to call roll.
Oh, we need to call the roll to approve tabling it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Opitz,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
McCarron,
Yes,
Gerba,
Yes.
Albert.
Yes.
All right, and that would eliminate item 7A then, correct?
It would. No action.
Item 8 is city manager's report. These are informational items only.
We have had the opportunity to respond, both as a fire department and a police department, several times over the last couple of weeks due to the weather events. I can tell you that we were called by the Oklahoma City Police Department on Monday the 20th to help in South Oklahoma City. We did respond in that regard with 22 officers. Also, our fire department responded at that very same time, and we took, I can't remember, but 2 vehicles and I want to say 8 or 10 firemen to the site, particularly in South Oklahoma City, and I think the fire department went directly to Moore. And we continued to deliver aid all the way through the presidential visit, including traffic control. Additionally, when the tornado came through, and I don't know if you've read the particulars of the tornado last Friday, but it was a record setter. It has been upgraded to an EF5, 2.6 miles wide. A historic tornado from that regard, and it was on the ground for 16.7 miles, and bearing down, right down 66 on Yukon. So Our people then rendered aid to both Banner and El Reno. We stand by to continue to do that. I also understand that many private citizens over the weekend lent aid by going to Banner and El Reno, reporting and helping the citizens over there, and just being generally good neighbors while they cleaned up. It was a, it really makes you feel pretty small whenever you see, and humble, whenever you see destruction like what we faced over the last 2 weeks. And the people of Shawnee, Kearney, several of the communities over in eastern Oklahoma, the eastern Oklahoma County, and then you come and you get Moore, South Oklahoma City in particular, and then we look at Union City, El Reno. There's a lot of damage and a lot of people hurting emotionally as we meet this evening. And I'm very proud of our first responders. I'm very proud of our city employees that have offered and have in fact gone and helped where possible. And I'm most proud of our citizens who have lent of their time to go and help with recovery efforts. I'll also, I'd like to talk to you about a couple of other things. First of all, recycle operations. We began in those efforts on Saturday. We have 5, I believe that's correct, 5 dumpsters, roll-offs that are there for all of our citizens. It is open during our opening hours at the transfer station throughout the week, as well as the weekend, both Saturday and Sunday afternoon. So we had a good turnout this last Saturday. I would anticipate that that will continue to be the case. I want to reassure everybody that we are in our infancy on providing recycling efforts and things that we would like to do in the future as it relates to recyclables and getting those things out of our waste stream as a community. You might guess that the storm shelter program has picked up again over the last couple of weeks. So far, we have put in 484 shelters in Yukon. We have 70 to go, and we have renewed interest and activity in that regard over the last couple of weeks. So program is doing good things. Finally, a couple of public service announcements, if you would, Mayor. Last week, during Friday's storm, we lost power to our well field surrounding Will Rogers World Airport. So therefore, we could not pump water from those wells to our distribution system. We still, at least earlier today, this morning, we did not have power. We still don't have power. OG&E is working to get power to those. But essentially what that has done is take half of our water supply offline. At one point, in fact, the pump station where we buy Oklahoma City water, electricity was out to that pump station. That has since been brought back on, so we do have the availability of the Oklahoma City water supply to meet our needs. We sent out a community-wide notification asking for conservation efforts as it related to water. At no point, not one single moment, not ever, was our water supply contaminated. At no point were we ever issued a boil order. Anybody that said so was storying to you. It wasn't the case. We simply had a pumping problem for our fresh water supply, and that in fact, not only affected domestic water supply, but it's affected our fire suppression capabilities as well, which is why we have so much capacity within our water towers to begin with. So I want to make that emphatically clear. At no point was our water supply ever contaminated. At no point was anybody ever told that there was a boil order in our community. Our water supply is 100% safe and has been all along. Secondly, continually, when these events occur, the discussion concerning public storm shelters comes up. I will tell you that you can tell me to go build one as a council, and I will do that. But I think it's poor public policy. Being sheltered in place is a far superior item. As you build shelters within schools that reach a specific population, school children, faculty, and staff, that is a good idea. As you build a storm shelter within a trailer park, as you build a storm shelter within a retirement village, as you build a storm shelter within a neighborhood, those are all good ideas. But I'd ask you to think very quickly about jumping into your vehicle with a F5 tornado bearing down on you, driving with reckless abandon to get to a shelter, only to find that there was no place to park. And you have to run to get to the door, only to find out that they're 50% over capacity already. And where do you toilet at that point? Because that's one of the requirements. So, again, you can appropriate the money and tell me to build it, and I'll certainly do it, and I'll do it well. But I want you to know that I personally think it is poor public policy to build public shelters. With that said, Mayor, my report is completed. Thank you very much. I stand ready for questions.
No questions? No questions, all right. Item 9, new business. Seeing none. Council discussion, Mr. McCarron?
Well, it's been quite an evening, for me anyway. Chris Novi, I certainly want to congratulate Matt Fairchild and the guys helping Chris out of his car. I think it's really important that we recognize that as a part of our community. So the presentation tonight was a very special thing for me to see us recognize the folks that are out there on the line. I got to give Matt a lot of credit. Drove in, figured out he didn't need to be there, backed out, and then saved somebody who made the mistake. You know, we're going to be looking, of course, at stormwater problems. Yukon historically has had a lot of stormwater problems, and I think there's a lot of major issues that are going to come as we develop even more. And I think water is that's not our first look at it. I really want to commend the folks that got to the recycling center opened and running. It's a good job, Bill. I appreciate that. I think it's really a good thing that you're finally going to give Jeannie Vincent some vacation time. The bicycle helmet thing, I think, was important. I think for our children, Emily Grizzle, who initiated that, was not able to be here this evening, but I feel like it's something that for small children particularly, if you ever had one of your kids get a concussion, you know what that can mean. And I just want to say thank you to all of the city folks who've been helping out, period, whether it's the fire going down to there or the police going over to Oklahoma City. Certainly all of our folks here have been very active locally as well. And to me, it's just, once again, thanks, and just tells me what a good group of folks we have in this city. With that, that's it for me.
Thank you. Mr. Gerba?
I just got to agree with the comments that Grayson made concerning public shelters. One of the things that I kind of wanted to bring up was, I know the federal government's kind of in dire straits financially, but with the amount of attention right now on disasters here in central Oklahoma, I might even anticipate FEMA doing a round 2 of the storm shelters and getting some help from the federal government. There's a lot of pressure along those lines I noticed in the news lately, with Hurricane Sandy and now with our disasters here locally, that the federal government's under a lot of pressure to kind of beef up their efforts to help keep everybody safe. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm hoping we have another round like we had last time. It was a huge success. There's nothing more I'd like to see than more shelters here in the local area. Because like me, myself, Friday night I drove home, got home, and then 10 minutes later I was in my neighbor's shelter. I don't have one either, so that's definitely something that feels good to have if you got one. Second item is plug for the Yukon Parks. On this Thursday, they start their concerts in the park beginning at 7 o'clock. It's Smiling Vic and the Soul Monkeys. So every Thursday, come out and see a concert for free. It's a good time. Thanks.
Mr. Opitz?
Yes. I sure want to ditto what our city manager, Grayson Bottom, had to say about the people. I am so proud of the people that are employed at the city of Yukon and the response that they have and the response that is needed when the first responders, for instance, whatever they need to do, they get it done. And guys and gals, I am proud of you. I just want to say we are blessed to have such a wonderful city, but we are blessed that we missed the one coming right at us, and it jumped us. And that's happened here a time or two before. And I'm saying we are blessed, and I'm just proud to be here. That's all, Mayor.
Mr. Alberts?
I echo what everyone said about a great city, and we are, Mr. Opitz, I agree, really blessed that that we missed one. But like Nick says, that we should be prepared because being safe and not driving. And Grayson, I agree with you also. I talked to some people that were trying to get out of downtown and trying to get home, and there was gridlock, and I know that there was issues when people in cars. You're just not safe there, and I would agree with you too. Hopefully we'll find a way to build enough shelters in our community to take care of the people. So I want to say thank you also to city staff for helping to get together the budget. I know you guys worked together. We had a meeting and got the budget together, and thank you all for working hard to do that. As far as work, since we were here last time, I've been down to Moore, and now I've been out to Banner to help. And you know, there's a lot of water that's there. There's a lot of clothes, and there's those type of things. But the one thing that they need is just a little bit of time. And I know we're all busy, and but 30 of us got together from our church and went out, and 30 people in about 3 hours helped clean up 3 houses. So if you have the time, and I know you're busy, but if you don't, money or some sort of effort would be greatly appreciated by those people. You know, the people here, we have a great city staff to help take care of us. Heaven forbid that we should ever have an emergency. But out in Banner, they're not as well organized. So if you can get with your church or whoever, I know, Grayson, you said if you want to volunteer in El Reno, you can go to the fire department. Isn't that right?
Correct.
Right. So, but any kind of help would be greatly appreciated. Those people were so humbled, and they all laughed. I mean, they would make jokes about their car. They had a really great car for sale. You know, if you looked on one side of it, it looked pretty snappy. On the other side, not so much. So, but with that, I don't have anything else. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The budget was mentioned. I'm glad that we passed it. I believe that this is, even with the conservative projection of growth that we set the budget up on, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Bottom, but this is going to be the first balanced budget in a number of years. Is that an accurate statement?
It is.
And that's on a very conservative projection, so I'm very happy to be part of the council that was able to approve that. Also, I wondered if we could get something on an upcoming discussion. We'd received a letter, and I believe each of us received a letter from Yukon Recycling asking for them to be able to donate specific dollar amounts to specific causes, and I think there's probably a proper avenue to make that happen. So if we could put that on a council discussion in the very near future to find out how we could go about actually making that happen, I'd appreciate it.
Sure, not a problem. I'll happy to do it.
All right. Well, with that, I have nothing else. And we will, I'm enjoying the music, but we'll consider this meeting adjourned.